Welcome back to another episode of Backyard Builds. On this episode, we're going to tackle the rear end. So as I've said in previous videos, when I bought the truck I asked if it was notched. I was told no, but that's a notch as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to rectify this. What we're also going to do is, the truck's had a diff flip. So what that means is the diff has been taken from the bottom side and put on the top side. As you can see, different U-bolts have been used. Millie's helping. So on the back side, if we can see, round U-bolts have been used on a square plate, which isn't very good. So what I had done was I took one side apart, took it up to a truck suspension place, and that actually made me a set of U-bolts for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put the diff back to the bottom side, see how much room there is, take the notch out of it, and then it comes back to an original truck essentially. So that's today's job. A little bit of fabrication and welding involved, and hopefully get it back to a good angle. So I pulled the tail shaft out of this truck the other day and noticed that the union was no good, so I bought two new ones, but here's probably the reason why. So 2.7 on the rail. I know that's not where we measure from, but nearly 7 degrees. So in my head that equates to over 5 degrees of pinion angle, where we should be within 3. So yeah, we'll rectify that while we're at it, and hopefully the little vibration in the tail shaft goes away. So now that we've got one side apart, first job to fix will be this bracket here. Is actually meant to sit on the top side of the diff, but when they've pulled it out, there's big gouges in it from where they've cut it. So we'll stick a little bit of weld on it so that plate sits level again, and sand it flush, get it so we can put the plate back on the top side, hold it back together, and see how it looks. So just got the diff up on the trestles, just welded it up and sanded it flat. So one thing to watch for when you're sanding tube, as you can see these marks here, they've gone with the tube, which all that does is make it look like a 50-cent piece. In Australia, 50-cent piece is like an octagon, by the way, so it gives it a heap of flats. So what I do is when I come in with the grinder, the sanding disc, we go with the tube. What that allows it to do is actually contour to the tube, make it smooth instead of all flat spotted. So the diff's fixed, clean the brackets up. So now we will get it back down off the trestles, back to the back of the car, put it in under, bolt it back up, put the suspension back in. That is the rear end fixed for the second. So just before this little gem is lost forever, it's extremely important to actually plan where everything runs. Look at that brake line, it's absolutely flat, and that wasn't today. That's exactly where the exhaust used to run. So it's important to have key infrastructure in, like brake lines, check clearance over chassis, exhausts, everything. Brakes are more important than the car being quiet, so make sure you plan it out properly. Things like handbrake cables rubbing, everything like that. They're just putting the rear shackles back on, roll the diff back under, go and get those brand new U-bolts and bolt it up. So I've left the tube spacers off for the minute. We'll put it back under, get the motor and box finished up. This episode's probably a little bit arse about, but you've probably already seen the engine mounts happen. Get the pinion angle correct on the motor and box, and then set the pinion angle diff to suit the box on the diff. So let's do it. I know sometimes we make things look like an easy job, but I'm just going to put the diff in with these back on top where they originally should go. And old mate has swapped the center pin. That now doesn't go on top, so now we've got to turn the center pin over. 2-second job, but 5-minute jobs sometimes take 10. So there it is, the diff back in. So it's not 100% in. Just knit the U-bolts up now. I centered the diff, so I used a ruler and a tape measure and just went off the leaf springs. So you measure both sides, add them together, divide by 2, and that's where it has to be. So 239mm was the magic number. So the diff is now back, centered. Sorry. You've probably already seen it, but I'm going back now to mount the engine transmission, which will then dictate our pinion angle essentially. So we're going to want to get the carby or the manifold flat. Then that will give us our ramp down that we need to follow. We'll take a measurement off the bottom of the pan, put the angle finder on the snub of the diff, and set the pinion angle. Once the pinion angles and the diff is set, I'm going to come down in here and we're going to weld those saddles back on. Just get a nice bead both sides. Quick Dulux rebuild, and pretty well put it back down on its wheels. So I'm going to go back to engine mounting and we'll finish up this episode later. So I've completed the diff flip, but I've done a quick measurement. There's weight on the truck. The only thing that's not on the back is the tub, but we've got about a 40mm difference. So it's going to have the up and the back rake, which none of my cars actually have, and not a fan of. So quick fix here, without flipping the diff back over the other side again, was some shackles. So I came out, I measured them up, I got some cut up, and conveniently they're actually the same width as my bush kits that I sell. So we'll go out and we'll have a look. So the originals are 4-inch. Just back to Maddie's conversation today with him. Imperial trucks are Imperial. So center to center is 4-inch. These are 5. So it doesn't seem like much, but it's 25mm. So 25mm plus the weight of the tub, plus the difference in height here to here, because an inch here could actually be 2 inches there, should get us down to where I would like it to be. So I think Dad's just putting the handbrake cable in now, and after that he'll put a set of these in. I'm going to make the other one now, and we'll see how it looks. So the second one's all fabbed up. Just a little tip or trick. That's my bush spacer, so I know that that's exactly how wide they need to be for the bush to sit in. So what I did was put it in there, do it up with a bolt through it, and it actually holds it while you weld it. Just a little trick. I can normally carry like a lot of this sort of tube, so just seamed small nominal bore tube, just for making up spaces like that for when we weld things together, so they don't pull or they keep the exact space that we need. So really happy with how that welded up. Let's go and put them in, see how they look. So here's just a quick comparison of the new versus old. So as you can see, just an inch higher. So we've just measured off the wheel. It's actually brought it down 25mm, which is getting closer to the look that I want. So we'll put the other side in and we'll go from there. So as I've probably mentioned in a previous episode, I'm not 100% sure where we're up to with editing at the moment, or what content or footage we've actually got already. But a lot of these parts for this truck are readily available motor-wise. Steering and suspension, not so much. So I know that we spoke about doing the crossbar from the left stub axle to the right stub axle with some Heims joints, and we put one in there to show what it would look like. I was going to use 1/2 inch Heims or rose joints, and then thought better of it and stepped it up a little bit to 5/8. So another part that I can't actually buy is this shaft here. So this is a cast shaft with ball joints in it, and the ball joints are, I'll put the camera down, no good at all, blue saz. So that would create a small amount of play within the steering. So much like the shaft to the left to the right, that shaft actually goes from the steering box or the pitman arm into the stub axle. Much like the cross shaft, I've gone ahead, 5/8 rose joints, weld-ins, and made a new shaft. So pretty straightforward process. It's 1.25 inch, 120 thou wall, so 38.1, 31.8mm tube with 3.2mm wall. So very heavy duty, very strong. Weld and rose ends, they were plug welded and then ground, so there'll be footage of that in here. So plug welded, so back into the bottom of the shaft just to hold it again, a little bit of V-prep, and then welded into the tube. I like to do the butt welds first, or the rose welds first, and then sand them flat, and then do the tube to adapter end weld. Then it's not ground, it leaves a little bit of reinforcement in it, it still looks good. So gone through and replaced the shaft. I've also made cross shaft this morning, so we'll go and get that in the truck now. Still bloody hot out here, but job done. Tick her off the list. 2 brand new shafts in there. I'm really happy with how they turned out. It's got rid of a lot of the play. The play is now probably just in the box itself, if there is any. So this will make it drive infinitely better, and we've got rid of those silly blocks, which I'm more than happy about. Plenty of clearance on the leaf spring, so probably it's still got 10mm under there, 15mm between the 2 shafts. So worst case, I need to put a little spacer to pack that up on the stub axle, but there it is, and just a little spacer under the pit. No, super happy with that. So that'll probably complete this episode. Hope you guys learned something. If not, let us know what you want to learn and we'll put it in a future episode. But thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on Backyard Builds.